Hello YouTube, I decided to kind of show a hardware comparison between the American NES 2, the redesigned model that came out later in the life of the console. I think it retailed for about $50 when it came out. And the AV Famicom, which came out, I believe, just after the NES 2 came out in the States, and they actually made some other improvements to it. So let's just take a look at the NES 2. On the side, nothing here. On the back is your channel select, 3 and 4. Oops, my fault. 3 and 4. Your RF and your power, and your sticker for to call for if there's problems, and the bottom of the console. There is no LED light on it, and the push buttons are the two buttons on the front were replaced by a sliding power button and then a push reset. It also takes the standard controller ports. It came with a dog bone controller, which was similar to the shape of a dog bone, of course, but to the Super Nintendo controller, rounded edges, more ergonomically accurate. Then they came out with right around the same time, I believe it was shortly after. You might have to do a little more research on it. The AV Famicom, which also supported two controllers, had a dog bone controller, but their controller, I think, sported a 3-foot length cable, where the one in the States supports a 5-foot cable, I believe. This one, too, this is family computer there instead of Nintendo Entertainment System. This one also had the sliding power and push button, but this one has something different on the side. I can show you this, if I can get them to balance. Trying to record one-handed is a little difficult here. That's the side of the NES 2, and the same side of the AV Famicom, when side by side, shows that this one has the port here. Now, I don't read Japanese, and neither can you how close this is, but this actually was because the original Famicom, the controllers were hardwired on. So they had to have a port that allowed you to plug in like the zapper or the power pad. That's what this port was for on the regular Famicom, and they needed to bring it over to this Famicom too so people could actually use the existing guns and power pads and things that were in Japan. That's why this one offers that. Also, this one, and this is the thing I'm most upset about, is this one has an AV out and a power. So there's no RF. There's an issue with the RF on the Nintendo, on the NES 2, compared to the AV Famicom, because this one, there was something to do with where the RF was placed and the resistors or something beside it. I'm not super technical in this area, so please forgive me if I'm using the wrong language, but there was something electronically wrong with how the RF unit was orientated in there compared to some other components. And I'm going to open up both of them, show them side by side so you can see. They look similar but a little different. But it actually, when you put a cartridge in, it actually created lines on the television screen. So it looked like there was vertical lines every half inch on your screen or so, every quarter inch on your screen. They were faint and light, and it got to be distracting, where the AV Famicom does not suffer from this. I believe it has to do with the AV out port. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm a big fan of the AV Famicom, and I actually have a converter that I can play my games on. I don't really use my NES too much. When I do my review of the multi-card, I used it on my AV Famicom. And down there on my messy shelf down there at the bottom, you can see my standard toaster NES that I actually do a lot of my gaming on as well. So, I just don't really use the AV Famicom. Just the lines tick me off. It really pisses me off when I see them and see how slack Nintendo was. The bottom of the cases, you will notice, are identical. The molding's the same. Decal location is similar. They opted to put their serial number here, where in the American they put it up top with a barcode, so store clerks are lazy and can scan it. Down here, it offers the NES control deck sticker, with the power rating and so forth. That's not down here, but I'm assuming, I don't read Japanese, I'm assuming it's somewhere in that text. It both has the vents at the bottom for air out, the same screw locations on both of them. But there is another difference on the system, cosmetically, is the top, and I don't know if it comes out very well in my camera. I'll try to do a... You can see how it's fairly flat when you look at it straight on here on the AV Famicom, but here in the American NES 2, there's a bump. Really, when you do a profile shot, you can really see the bulge in the system. I'm personally, again, not a fan of that. The reason this one was designed first, the same man who designed this one designed the remake of the Super Nintendo, the Mini. And so they wanted to actually have a newer, curvier design, and that's why they ended up coming up with this, something a little more futuristic, other than the classic toaster style. But they wanted to give it its own characteristics, its own looks, other than the Super Nintendo Mini. So that's why they went with this odd shape. Here is the Famicom. Now, they have a flat top, and that's easily explained. In Japan, they offered the Famicom disk system. It used 3.5 floppies, proprietary floppies, and the unit set underneath the Nintendo. Now, the Famicom. But this needed a flat top, so there's a brick that's about that size or so. I don't own one, so I'm just guessing compared to the shots I've seen on YouTube and other pictures. That's roughly about that same size, and they needed it flat so the unit could sit down and plug into it and go into the cart port, and then it runs a wire around the back to the disk system that sits underneath. That's why this one's flat. Personally, I think it looks better aesthetically. Kind of keeps a nice even flow compared to this one that's, bumpy and whatnot. Again, that's just personal preference. Let's take the casing tops off. I've already unscrewed them, make it a little easier. Okay, here's the inside of the systems. The AV Famicom is on the left, the NES 2 is on the right. As we can see, it does have a larger pinout. There's 72 pins in the NES, and then the Famicom sports a 60-pin cartridge. Just kind of a little bit close up of my system here. And of the Famicom, AV Famicom. You can also see the port sticking off to the side where, again, that's missing here. Both offer the same switches in the same locations, And for the back, there's the back inside of the NES 2. It's kind of hard to see. There's the RF box down there and that shielding. Sorry, I hope I have enough light for someone to see. And here's the back of the AV Famicom. You notice it does not have that box back there. I don't know if the camera's good enough to get back there to show you. It's actually a gray little thing that's the same color as the gray there. I'm almost out of time here, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys the inside comparisons and a little bit of the AV Famicom compared to the NES 2. Both a lot better looking than the original systems they represent. A lot smaller footprint than the systems they both represent. I'm not so sure if the AV Famicom's smaller than the Famicom. I don't own one, but I know for a fact that NES 2 is a lot smaller and all around than the original toaster NES. But guys, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you got to see some insides of the system. If you haven't seen them before, see them side by side if you kind of wondered the difference of the motherboards. And come back and check my channel out. Sorry it's taken me so long to post videos, but I'm trying to knock a few out. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.